Hello guys, and welcome to a new Star Division 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 3 versus 3 on Pleshchenitsy South. And in this one I'm going to be using Maneuver Group Fedyunkin. So continuing the theme of playing through all of the latest new divisions from the Burning Baltics DLC, we are moving to the Soviet ones, and I had a good game with Fedyunkin on stream, so I'm going to be showing this one off to you guys. I'm joined by Neon Light and Yagsource, which is the 3rd Armoured and 3rd Guards Tank Corps. That's what they're going to be using. Both are balanced deployment type. They're up against Pre-Wisla, HMS Hood, and Shax, who are going to be using the 116th Panzerverband Strachwitz and the 5th Kavalleria Motorizata, and they're all playing Juggernaut divisions. So we kind of got to get this done sooner than later. But yeah, this was a really awesome showcase of the Fedyunkin. Not necessarily the best division in the DLC, but certainly has some tricks up its sleeve, like the BS3 and stuff. Anyway, I commonly refer to this map as Death Hill, and there is a good reason for that, because this just turns into an absolute arty party most of the time. But I'm probably going to have to name the video something a little bit different, just so that yeah, Death Hill doesn't really go down too well in the YouTube algorithm. Anyway, off we go. Let me just quickly show you guys what we have here. We've got a couple of Strauki Chernos. I'm going to have 2 Avtos, Chernos, and is this 3? They're just kind of like spreading out up onto this hill to take these 2 flags. I think I had the Strauki and the leader moving over to the left, and then I've got the Chernos and the leader moving up on here with the AT gun. Then I've got a commander there with 3 Striker DT. Striker DTs are, I think, unique to this division. They have like a couple submachine guns, SVTs, and a machine gun, but they also have a Molotov, which is nice. Avto's moving up really fast. Neon Light's moved up an M8 and a 50 cal Jeep. I've got some Striker DT moving up to contest the close range engagements early on, but these aren't the fastest transports in the world. And then 5 units of Chernos moving up behind those. So initially, this M8 does a really good job of pinning down the 45 here, and also the mortar fire is really good as well. It does actually take out a unit of infantry, so Neon Light getting a really nice artillery strike down there. Cherno's going to be engaging as well. Jijitesh go down, so that gets rid of the recon, although it's still the AB. This is actually a really cool vehicle. It's one of my favourite recon vehicles in the game. It looks really cool. But yeah, the Striker DT going to be unloading here. ZB goes down to the Cherno fire, but yeah, here comes off map. It's a phase off map start from my opponent. That's 380 mil off map, just absolutely spanking me at the start. IAR coming in with the bombs as well. Doesn't really hit too much. I managed to shoot it down with my SU2s, but then Shax has brought in 2 ME109 E7s. And unfortunately, they are fast enough to chase down my SU2s here and shoot them both down. So not a very good start for me. That's 200 points down the drain. Did manage to kill his like 50-point biplane, but yeah, not a very good trade. And I'm being absolutely hammered by this off-map. The Neon Lights here, he's moved up with the Jumbo. Generally, on this side of the map in Pleshchenitsy, you want to have 2 people. So Neon Light, he's covered the middle. But he's basically helping me on this side, whilst you can see like HMS Hood and Shax are pushing this together at the start. So HMS Hood with the Panzerverband Strachwitz pushing in hard with a lot of the light units, the off-map coming in strong again, straight onto the Chernos there, just deleting 2 squads instantly. This one's helping us hold the flag for now. Panther's engaging the Jumbo, but the smoke there is going to save it for the time being. And I'm pretty sure what happened here was like the reason that the shells are coming down slowly is because he probably put a barrage on this area with the second set of rounds from that off map. But the Jumbo's tanking this quite well, takes out the looks there, has taken out like basically 2 looks so far. Unfortunately, my Strike do go down, and that's going to cede the town for the time being to our opponent. But I'm going to be bringing up 3 Shermans. There was a lot of light armor here, and the best thing to deal with light armor is medium armor. So Bringing up a bunch of Shermans, which should be good for dealing with that. This Jumbo did well of holding the ground as long as it did, but you don't want the Panther to get too close, because otherwise it actually gets to have some pretty decent penetration onto the Jumbo, so rightly move that back. This 2 on the side here is not really doing too much. We can see that there's a little bit of a force here, but nothing too strong, so just got to keep that in mind. I'm just trying to sneak some Chernos up on this left-hand side here, so that we can get a good sort of presence in this area. Another IAR going to be on the way. This is from the 5th Cavalleria. These are really nice biplanes. They're really good against infantry at the start. Also fantastic at taking out support weapons. They're really, really good for killing off like AT guns and infantry guns and so on. We've got to be a little bit careful here. Obviously an infantry squad just got surrendered, so we've got to pull away from that. Also, of course, they do have the Panzerfaust, but managed to pin them down nicely. We managed to get one of them surrendered with the half-track. I'm just going to be continuing to kind of like push through here and try and break down some of these half-tracks. So these are the SDKFZ 251-9Ds. These 9Ds do have a 100mm penetration heat shell, which is actually pretty scary for my medium armor if they manage to get a shot off. But since I have the light cover advantage, I should be able to sort of dictate the engagement against those light vehicles. You can see as soon as I see one, I make sure to aim at it immediately. He's got to turn his entire half-track round to actually get the shot off. So I managed to pop both of them with some decent micro nice and quickly. And thankfully, my M4s were on target, otherwise one of them might have died there. Jumbo managed to get a nice shot in. It looks like this half-track managed to get the side shot though. Starkey DT do go down. The AB is pushing forwards here, and I don't have any AT on any of this infantry. One problem that Fedyunkin does have at the start, in the way that I've set up the deck at least, I don't really have much infantry AT. I rely quite heavily on these Shermans to provide that for me. I've also got T-34-85s at the start here, and I'm bringing in another SU-2. The main reason for this SU-2 was in fact to use it as recon, because we can't really see up this ridge very well. If I move up a recon squad onto the ridge, it's going to get spotted and killed. So the easiest way for me to actually keep eyes on what's here is actually to use the SU-2. So a recon plane coming in really, really handy here just to get some eyes on. Allows me to spot the Panzer III as well, get a good shot in there, avoid the Pak-40 as well. So yeah, all of that worked out really nicely. And it actually does give a target technically to my SU-2 and also to the mortars of Neolite here. So AB Usor is going to find my Starkey DT. I'm going to have to keep microing these around to avoid being shot at. But my M4 is on the way, and I'm hoping that I can take out this medium, light armor, I guess, really, here. Take out the AB Usor nice and easy. Managed to bounce that shot. Get a shot back, but it bounces. And that was a really unlucky bounce. And then I took a penetration from the Panzer III, and then another bounce, which causes a crit, the transmission damage. And then the Panzer III side shots my M4 with a bit of bad micro there from me. That was really, really unlucky. That's a terrible trade for me to take. Journos are also under pressure here now. And we're losing quite a lot of flags here at the start, which 2-3 Juggernaut divisions is not too good. So off to a bad start here. Avtos trying to hold their line. The Chernos, when they have 2-star veterancy, are actually pretty strong. But yeah, the Russiade here, they are doing a decent chunk of damage. I'm going to be bringing in an IL-2 with two 250kg bombs, quite a nice payload. You can see I've used the SU-2 already to bomb the Pak-40 that was over here, and that's just remaining in the air to provide recon information so that we can push up with the T-34-85 and the Chernos and the Jumbos and so on. So just trying to take some ground back. Nice bombing strike there, takes out 2 of the Russiade, and that's going to be able to pull back for the time being. I was hoping to maybe head on one of these ME-109s. The other thing that I was thinking of using it for was to strafe these recon vehicles, because the 23mm guns that the IL-2s have can actually take out light armor quite well. So I'm going to go ahead and strafe the recon vehicles there. And the SU-2, if it can keep them spotted, will allow my IL-2 to get some pretty decent shots on target. So that's what I was going for. And I've also decided to bring up a T-34-85 to help out again with taking out the armor there. So you can see IL-2 does a good amount of damage there. Also manages to get the second strafing run onto that unit, which is good. Stroki DT get the Molotov onto Rashere, and I'm able to bring up the other squad and finish them off, so that's nice. T-34-85 going to be able to easily deal with Panzer IIIs. Because the Panzer IIIs do have 10 HP, they do take 2 shots to kill, which is a bit annoying. You see Yagsos has brought over his M4 here as well, and a bit of infantry just to give us a hand, because we did lose a lot of ground early since all 3 players did come in on this side. Really nice bombing strike there from the IL-2 to kill the mortar. Probably is going to go down to the ME-109 though. Because yeah, you can see Yagsos is just kind of chilling on this right hand side. So he's come over here to help us take this back, and certainly the right decision to make, which is good. And T-34-85 going to be engaging the Panzer III here at close range. Without recon, these really can't see much. Just hoping I can finish that off. More Strauki on the way. Having the commander here early really helped units like this, like M8 and Machernos, actually get up quite a decent amount of value. Kill the Panzer III there. Strauki now pushing into the town since we've managed to bounce back quite a bit. T-34-85 with a 3-star vet slaps the Panther there really nicely. It comes back up the hill after recovering just a little bit, and bam, look at that, lovely kill. Taking out the Pioneer. These 3 Shermans made a huge difference pushing through the light cover here. I killed a lot of the leaders and stuff that was giving veterancy, and also a lot of like the light armored cars and stuff. So that was really good. The ZB here, for example, is going to go down as well, and it just supports the Strauki moving forwards. Now we're going to see another off-map aircraft come in though. I have brought in plenty of AA. I'm just hoping we can shoot that down. Unfortunately, not this time around. And now we just got to kind of expect the off-map to come in. So I'm going to be moving my M4s all the way over to the side just to make sure they don't get hit by off-map. I'm kind of like spreading out my units here a little bit as well, making sure they're not too clumped up so that the off-map doesn't really hit that much. Super important. We managed to bring it back to 12 to 12. A little bit of a comeback here. And basically have to solidify our lead. So I'm bringing in a couple of IL-2s just to dislodge some of the infantry in the town. I need to get rid of those ZBs on the left-hand side there. I think I also have this one going for the Rosciore. The off-map's going to hit strong. Neon's units getting hammered there. Rosciore go down. I'm going to take out their ZB as well. Just allows this infantry to have a bit of a better time. I do unfortunately lose one to the ME-109 G6, but I was hoping that I could at least shoot that down in return. It did come very close over our AA. Just about managed to shoot it down. Chernos moving up now, taking back ground. Even might push to this flag, which is the offensive flag on the hill. And, well, I guess you can probably see now why they call it Death Hill. Yeah, well, why? I call it Death Hill. I don't know what other people call it. But, yeah, I think that's quite a fitting name. Cherno's engaging the Panzerguns there. Actually doing relatively okay. With the 2-star veterancy especially. I've got the Avtos snuck into the town here. And those Avtos, they're pretty cheap, and you get 4 of them on a card. So really nice for just providing lots and lots of veterancy to your units. And I think with Fedyunkin, it's actually pretty damn important that you do utilize your commander and leaders to get value out of your less good infantry, basically. Unfortunately, one of these got hit by a rocket strike early on. Ideally, what you want to do with these kind of half-tracks is fire with them and then make sure they have a move order, so they're never in the same place. And that way you very rarely get caught out by strikes like that. Like, even if you get greedy and do like 2 strikes at once and then move, that can still get you caught out, so bear that in mind. IARs come in with the rockets there, trying to maybe get some shots onto some infantry, but don't succeed. I'm now bringing in my Katyusha, one of the units unique to Fedyunkin, the 82mm Katyusha. It's just firing away. That Matador. No fucks were given. 85 mil is coming up. I just need to solidify my AA net, and I've even moved this 37 next to the combat so it gets the 3-star bet. Yeah, the idea of this rocket artillery is quite simply to just pin down anything that's on the other side of this flag and allow us to take the ground. Nice clutch kill there from the armoured rifles. They take out one of the Panzer IIIs. Take out that Panzer III. Gonna fall back from the Panzer IV though. With the rocket artillery pinning down that unit, I move the Sherman forwards to surrender them. IAR's coming in on this side to pop the Strelki and the Gvardia. The 210mm rockets on the IARs seem to work better generally than on the ME-109s, which is interesting. Anyway, a bit of a mistake here from my opponent. They brought up a 75mm Vickers AA onto the hill. It got killed by my Cherno unit. So that was something. I managed to shoot down an IAR as well with some remaining shots from the 37. My Su-2 here, still providing good recon information as it floats about. But more off-map on its way. Lots of light vehicles coming up here. Czech supporting HMS Hood with the 20 mils. And, well, this Sherman's kind of just like waiting to engage. It would be cool if you could kind of like fire through these broken buildings somewhat, but it's currently blocked in line of sight. And technically this is heavy cover, I think, so that also blocks line of sight. Yeah. Here comes another rocket strike. So the first one's got finished. This one's now coming in. I think they have like 48 rockets, so yeah. Anyway, here goes this M4. It's going to be engaging the Panzer III. Nice side shot there. Panzer II looks goes down. Going to be finishing that off. The Panzer III rotates his turret pretty slowly, so I was able to get some decent hits off there. Now the M4A3 from Neon coming in as well. Against Panzer IIIs and Panzer IIs, these M4s are really, really nice. So managing to take care of quite a lot of this light armour. The Strelki are actually doing pretty well here against the Roshiore PM. These Roshiore PM, I'm not a big fan of them. Got triple surrender there. They run rifles and machine guns. They're okay. Another Panzer III going down there to my M4. Yeah, we got the triple surrender, but it's back to 12 to 12. Artillery strikes still coming down. Loads of off-map. Just constant smoke and death. Another kill there for my M4. Takes out the Panzer II Lux. Look how crazy that is. The thing is, you do have to kind of like spread out your push up here, because otherwise you can get like really tunneled onto this area. Since we're using like a little bit of rocket artillery here, between myself and Neon, he has Calliopes and I've got the Katyusha. And those are just really good at locking down the main road here. So he's got to make sure he gets, or the enemy team's got to make sure that they can get across here, spread out and then push up, so they can't get targeted by loads of artillery at the same time. Yeah, still HMS Hood and Previsler and also Shax putting pressure over here. So far we've managed to push them off in the early game, which is good. We've been phase A, phase B for a little while, and since we've had the advantage against them in income, I think that's probably the main reason we managed to make a good comeback here. But of course we are going to be moving into phase C, and that will cause them to have a lot more income than us, although I'm technically running a V for Victory income, which does give me the 160 in phase C. So I'm not at that much of a disadvantage, and I guess, technically balanced isn't that far behind Juggernaut, but Juggernaut can definitely build up more. And also the thing is with Juggernaut is that people build the decks differently. So I mean, technically mine's quite late game focused because of V for Victory, but a balance will probably have less infantry in the late game than a Juggernaut will. So a Juggernaut might have like 3 cards of infantry in phase C, as opposed to 2 cards in Phase C, and that can make a very big difference in a game that runs for a long time. So it's worth bearing that in mind. Anyway, 85mm unloads. The little truck here is gonna move away. I think all of these like little trucks and stuff and tractors that we see, like, really underrated in Steel Division 2. Like, they're so cool, and the fact that like there's so much detail on them when they're a unit that's just like not really used that much is just really, really great. I like it a lot. Just like slowly moving away there after towing in that big gun. And I'm going to be bringing in, the first of the BS3s. Here it is. And again, another tractor that you basically never see. I'm pretty sure this YA12 is only available to be brought in with the BS3, I think, in Fedyunkin. So yeah, that's pulling in my big AT gun. And those BS3s, they have like 200 mils penetration at 2,000 meter range. Really, really good for breaking down Panthers and Tigers. It can also do some serious damage to King Tigers if they get like a good side shot in. But ME-109 going down there, we managed to get the head on. That was really good. I was going to bring those in to bomb this town, but since the ME-109 flew out, I made sure to head on it. And the cannons of the IL-2 are just too much for those ME-109s. So artillery really starting to come in hot now. We can see that there is a lot of artillery, and Neon's starting to ping it. We are moving into Phase C though, and things are going to start getting very arty heavy now, because we're kind of just holding the hill nicely. I'm bringing in some recon so we can get some eyes on the left hand side, and if we can get the eyes there, then we can maybe put some pressure onto this flag. Go 14 to 11. 14 to 11 is technically only a 1 tick still, so it doesn't actually give us that much of an advantage. Ideally, like, if you're going to push extra, you want to make sure you get an extra 2 flags in this case. IS-2 engaging the Panther there. Absolutely smacks it. It's exactly what the IS-2s are good for, just for annihilating Panthers at range. But yeah. Got the supply now back here. The Axos gave us a message in game saying that we could use that, so myself and Neon Light making sure that we suck up that supply into our units. I'm just going to make sure that my Katyushas are fully loaded because my supply had actually run out back here. So Cherno's again still moving forwards. And then I was saying about the flags. I forgot for a second what I was going to say, but basically there's not too much of a point in committing for 14 flags, but there is a point in committing for 15 flags, because if you can go 15 flags you get the double tick, and then the game ends like twice as fast. So you can basically, you know, win a lot quicker that way. In this case, our 15 flags is pretty hard to find. We would have to push this flag and then another flag elsewhere, so like this flag or maybe even the center flag. But getting to the center flag is quite difficult because it's so easy to be ambushed from different sides. There's so many like places where you can hide AT guns and shoot across into this center road, so it makes it very difficult to push on. This 3 is doing a nice job of just smashing the Rashiere in the little river there. Givardi are going to get taken out by those Rashiere. I do quite like Rashiere squads, but they do benefit mostly from having a lot of veterancy. I made a little ping here just to make sure that people don't sit next to them while firing. This is a mistake that a lot of players make, even experienced players sometimes, is they leave their supply like really close to their artillery while it's firing, and then the supply dies really quickly. They combat there under a lot of fire, unfortunately. Artillery strike hits one of the supply vehicles. It really sucked. But that was basically because these had fired on the right hand side, and then the counter battery from the 120s. The 120s have quite large dispersion, so it actually managed to hit the supply truck on the edge there, which was unfortunate. But Neon Light and myself are going to be starting to get some Katyushas on target of these 120s. They only have 4 health, so you only have to hit them with a few rockets to get the job done. But because these have quite a lot of dispersion, it's better if I go for groups of 120s. So there's 2 120s here that are firing, and there's 2 here. These 2 are closer together, so I'm going to be going for those 2 on the right there just to try and kill those off. You can see just like the sheer volume of mortar fire that's coming in right now. Now, lucky for us, the 120mm mortars do struggle for supply in the late game because they soak up so much supply. So unless you have a deck specifically built to have lots and lots of supply on it, you're not going to do too well there. Anyway, let's just quickly switch over to the neutral perspective and see like how effective this is, because I was actually curious myself to see how effective this is. We did manage to take out one there. Direct hit, managed to pick it off. Just making sure that I try and get rid of those. Anyway, let's head it back to my point of view. We got some B-26s coming out from Neon Light. Going to be the 45 kilogram bomb variants. So these have 20 45 kilogram bombs. I'm not a huge fan of them. I think the B-26s with bigger payloads are just better. But you do get more of these. These are pretty good for like saturating an area and pinning them down. You can see there the bombs coming in, pinning down all the stuff on that flag, and then with the smoke cover, going to be pushing in there with the half-tracks and the infantry to take that. I'm going to be moving up my Konaya Razvedka and some of my Strauki that was hanging back, and we're going to be able to go 14 to 10. Didn't take us too much to actually take that, so that was good. That was like probably worth it. But at the moment, we're just kind of like snug up here. There's so many craters though. Look at it. It's actually ridiculous. And the artillery fire is constant. Big old 120mm artillery batteries back there. I do actually lose one of my M4s to, I think, a mortar shell in the town. But things are quiet, just for a little while. Just for a little while. Katyushas are reloading here by this little lake. Very pretty. Even with the rain coming down. Like when you zoom in, you can see the rain effect. Behind, we do have some M10 destroyers coming in. Yagt has decided to bring up a IS-2 1944 for us, and I've decided to bring in 2 of these bad boys, the ISU 152. So the ISU 152s are pretty nice. They're going to be coming up on the ridge here to support. Here's my BS-3. Firing away. On a bit of a weird angle there. The nice thing about the BS-3 is their velocity of the shell. Just look how fast the shell fires. It's like a 88 shell. Just really, really high velocity. Take out a couple of looks there with that. Just popping up a lot of this light armor. My SU-2 coming in for the bombing strike there does get forced off. IL-2's also taking a lot of fire. One of them does manage to drop a bomb, but that is it. And the IAR is going to be coming in there to shoot those down. We do have like quite a lot of AA on the right, but not too much on the left, so unfortunately this IL-2 does get shot down. And my other IL-2 is saved by the sheer amount of 50 cals on the top of these M10s, and in fact that does get shot down in the process. And one of my Katyushas unfortunately got killed by, again, the huge dispersion of the 120mm artillery. It was targeted at Neon Light again as he fired from this area, and I think my Katyusha got clipped like right on the edge. That was unfortunate. Now we're going to be seeing even more artillery coming in. That's going for the Calliopes. I mean, as long as we, keep firing and they're moving, they're constantly reacting to where our units are, and that's really good for us because it wastes a lot of their ammunition. And the BS-3 here starting to come under fire, but the majority of the mortar fire was actually going for this ridge where my T-34 was. So I'm going to just fall this back ASAP and hope it doesn't get hit too hard. We've got a VZ-VOD here as well that's providing the extra veterancy to the BS3, allows it to reload a lot faster. These M10s also, of course, benefit from that. We're going to get the Kanaya in here, put them on return fire. Putting your recon on return fire, especially like squads like this, when they get low health, is really good. It allows them to like hide in relatively obvious positions for quite a long time. But yeah, these Kanaya Rozvedka, they can actually be really, really strong squads, especially with high veterancy. If you give them 2-star veterancy, like the 9 Mozins is going to do quite a lot of damage. And then as soon as like they run low on men, you just make sure they stop firing and hide them somewhere, and then they become like your 2-man standard recon squads because they do still have the exceptional stealth and very high optics. Panzer II looks taken out there. I do have this like ZIS-2 on the left, also hidden in the back garden over here, and that is covering the road approaching the town. So anything coming in here basically gets taken out. Big old 120mm mortar barrage there doing a lot of damage to that town. In this game it seemed like the Axis stole the Soviet doctrine of massive mortar batteries. B-26 is coming in for another bombing strike. Getting hit very hard by that AA though. It's quite a lot of AA back there, and it does do quite a bit of damage. IARs try and come in response, but a huge network of AA is doing a lot of damage. And you see I've got another VZ-VOD back here providing veterancy to these 2 AA pieces now. And also I've got a BS-3. Now this BS-3 is in a really sneaky position. On the side of this light cover, you can go right to the edge and it can get shots down the road. So if any Panthers or heavy tanks come up here, my BS-3 can absolutely smack it. And I'll probably turn off the HE shell at some point. Also, one thing that I failed to mention was I did bring in my A-19s. I've got 4 of these on the deck, and I brought in all 4 of them ASAP. You can see I've moved the supply trucks as far away as I could. In this case, this one got forced to fall back and then got killed. But the idea was just to quite simply start counter battery onto the enemy units. BS-3 does manage to pull off a Panther G kill there, I think, which was pretty nice. But yeah, making sure I started to counter battery them was pretty important, not only to try and kill their artillery, but also to make them counter battery me. Because the more they start to counter battery me, the longer it takes them to actually push the main hill, because they basically, like, if they're targeting the RT, they're not targeting the town, and if the town's not being targeted, they're not making ground. So that's pretty much the idea of bringing in the A-19s here. Yes, they might be effective in killing a few of their units at range, but ultimately I'm just trying to distract their long-range artillery and make sure that we have the time to win the game, because it's a juggernaut. So we're basically going to hold on for dear life and hope that they don't like use their mortars like this to absolutely annihilate our defenses before pushing up. So the M5 gun there, both of the AT in that area got absolutely demolished. ISU misses the Panzer IV. It's actually quite common. These ISUs, they only have 30% accuracy on their AP shell, so whilst they will absolutely annihilate a Panzer IV if they hit it, it's very unlikely they're going to hit it at max range, especially without veterancy. But yeah, I move forward to the BS-3s. That did take out, I think, 2 Panther Gs in the end that were pushing at a distance here, and every time I was giving it attack move order afterwards to move away from the place that it was. So if the mortar strikes start coming in, I'm out of position for those to hit, and then we can move it back whenever we see more tanks coming in. But Neon Light's got a nice contingent of forces here, lots of these M10s. These M10s are actually pretty good now at taking on heavier targets like Panthers, because they do have the APCR shell that can fire at the 2,000 meter range. The IS-2 there is going to be engaging this poor Panther looks, and also that infantry pushing across. Once again, the Rashiore coming into my Strauki, and the Strauki doing pretty well, honestly. Look With the support of the M4s here and the T-34, pin these down nice and easy. Rocket artillery coming in for some of our infantry, or sorry, not infantry, AA. It is hitting my infantry here as well though, which is why I said that. I think that was targeted at the 88s, or the 85s, but both of them survive in this case. Anyway, you're probably wondering why we're no longer winning. Well, basically, obviously we lost this flag, but also Yagsource is now under threat as well on this right-hand side. He's being pushed in a little bit. He's going to have to try and maintain his position here. I've also, as you can see in the bottom left, just purchased 4 of my Year 2s, which are the biggest. I don't know if they're the biggest bomber in the game right now. They are pretty big though, and they have some epic payloads. I think the ones that I bought here all have 3 500 kilogram bombs, and then I'm going to buy a couple later which have the 1,000 kilogram bomb and 2 500 kilogram bombs, so massive payloads. They are very slow though. Artillery is unfortunately hitting my Strelki as we reinforce here. That's mainly because it was targeting my Su-76Ms, and then again the dispersion caused it to hit the road as well, so it unloaded a lot of my reinforcements here, but doesn't render too much. Just going to start running them forwards, make sure they have the orders to move in across this town. And again, the Su-76s are quite simply here as distraction. I bought them to just start counter battery onto them, and they'll see the artillery coming in. It will pin down some of their artillery. It'll make them really annoyed. They'll start trying to counter battery the Su-76s. And the Su-76s, they're pretty resilient, so they're going to be a good distraction for quite a long amount of time. Anyway, this M4, it looks like it's in a really bad spot here, but it's actually not too bad. As long as it's given target specifically, it should be alright. Because none of these Panzergrens actually have any AT, so that M4 can just fire at infantry all day long here. And you can see my Kanada still in a really good position to give recon information about everything coming towards us, and because it's on return fire, it's not going to reveal its position. So the BS3, we've still got that tucked back. I can, every time we need it, I can push it forwards. At the moment it's kind of pointless because the smoke blocks the line of sight here. But I brought in a lot of AA on this left hand side, and the reason I've done this, these 37s, is to make sure that I can bomb this town at any point and be covered from enemy fighters coming in. Because whilst their AA is annoying, it shouldn't really stop like a mass amount of bombers from getting a good strike in. I've got the Strelki coming up. They're going to be able to use a lot of this smoke to make a little bit of ground. BS3, as you can see, it's starting to roll forwards again as the smoke starts to disperse. And as soon as it does disperse, I'm hoping I can get some decent shots onto this armor. These BS3s, I think you only get like 4 of them in this deck. But they are like the biggest AT gun that the Soviets get. It's a real shame that you don't see more of them, because they are really strong. They're just like the PaK-43 equivalent. Here comes some ME-410s. They're going to be trying to provide some recon. I assume that these were brought over to try and spot either the AA or the artillery so that he could try and like counter battery. We managed to shoot down one of them, so that was good. And the smoke still covering my infantry pushing in here. I've got 4 units of Strelki, 2 units of Sapere. Sapere are really good at killing stuff at close range. Strelki engage at longer range. So that's kind of the combo that I'm using here to try and break through, and we managed to bring it back to 14 to 10 temporarily since Yagsour's holding on to his right hand side, but he's still under threat. P2 is now coming in from Yagsour's. He's going for the 4 250 kilogram bomb variants to try and take out some of these infantry and armor pieces. Got the Ju-87s coming in here. The Do-217 managed to shoot that one down at least. P2 going for the bombing strike there, does get taken out by the IAR. Yak-7 head on. Both of those get taken out. These IARs on the left hand side there, they're going to get hit very hard, but not going to save the B-26 unfortunately. There's so much AA here, and I kept having to like right click these units, so I actually shot them down, because so many aircraft came in that if the AA is like auto-targeting, it will stop firing at a unit when it's pinned or falling back. So you got to make sure that your AA continues to fire at the same units, otherwise you just won't get any kills. Super important tip, actually, for if you want your AA to actually be more lethal. The mortars there do get the better of one of my 85s, unfortunately, and I'm going to be moving back the BS3 once again. The reason I'm giving these attack move orders, not just move orders, is so that if it does kind of like start moving back and then finds line of sight onto something, I can still shoot it. So that's pretty important. Rocket strike coming in there to try and take out the 37. Not able to do so. Almost takes it to the VZ-VOD though. I'm managing to maintain my leadership here quite well, which is good. And you can see these Su-76s still firing and moving around whenever they're getting artied, which is causing a really, really good distraction. So brought in even more of these years. The main reason that I haven't used any of them yet is because I'm trying to build up like a critical mass, because we know that there's quite a lot of AA here. So if I bring them in like piecemeal, then they're much more likely to get shot down. In this case, the B-26s are faster and they are also quite resilient, so he managed to get away with not losing too many of them there. Also, our opponent hadn't really put any on the far side of the map here, so it's more centered. But if I want to, for example, bomb this town, then I'm going to have to deal with a lot of this artillery, or AA, sorry, on the further right. I'm going to shoot down the Focke-Wulf actually with the 3-star 37, which was a pretty nice kill there. Really good snipe from the 3-star. Making sure that these 37 mils are 3-star is a really, really good way to make them effective. I managed to take out the Bofors there with the Su-76s actually. Started to use these to focus down the AA as I prepared to use my bombers. And more Strelki and Sapori coming in again. So again, the same combination. 4 Strelki, 2 Sapori. Make sure I've got the longer range engagement tools and the Sapori for any closer range engagements. Now, the Sapori is still good at range, so they're probably better than Strelki at range actually, but of course you have less of them, so you've got to be a bit sparing. Here comes the it's the first one coming in. That's going to be... Oh, these are the ones with the 3 1,000 kilogram bombs and 8 250 kilogram bombs, so my bad. And here come the rest of them. So one of them has 4 500 kilogram bombs, and the others have the 3 1,000 kilogram bombs and 8 250 kilogram bombs. So big bomber wing here. Even going to be joined by the Americans, the B-26 coming in to support. I'm bombing that just behind the Jagdpanzer so I don't pin down the IS-2, because that could easily happen with 1,000 kilogram bombs. And, well, we're going to try and clear out this town, so let's see what happens. I do kill my own Kanaya, but it was worth the sacrifice. Big old bombing strike absolutely annihilates a lot of those Panzergrens. And these years, they do actually have cannons on the back of them. So en masse, they do a lot of damage to fighters, and you can see the IARs getting shot down there with the help of the AA, which almost gets crashed into by that aircraft. So yeah, I managed to get away with that bombing strike. We kill all of the infantry except from, like, I think 1. And Jagdsource's IS-2, with the help of my bomber, manages to clean up the armor on this side. So we just had a huge bombing strike there. Really, really good job. Especially with Neon bringing in his bombers at the same time. That definitely, you know, nice coordinated strike there. Really worked out. I didn't even say anything to Neon. He just brought it in because he saw I was bringing in my bombers, and he knows the concept of, like, being able to push en masse like that. So it worked out quite nicely. This Panzer IV going to be engaging my T-34-85. And unfortunately, we're not going to get the kill with the second APCR shot. I probably should have turned off the APCR here. Would have been a lot more effective, because the mortar's going to come in and absolutely slam that one. Now that Panzer IV engaging my T-34. We're getting shot from this AT gun on the right hand side there as well. Another APCR shot there would have probably done the job. Generally it's like 3 APCR or 2 standard AP shells to kill something like a Panzer IV. If it's an IS-2 then it takes a little bit more. These can actually tank more because they have more health. Heavy tanks have 12 health, whereas medium tanks have 10. It's not shown in game, but that's the health requirements or whatever. We do manage to just about stop that Ju-87 from killing the T-34s, but not the one from killing the IS-2, unfortunately. You can see I've got these like targeted to kill the Ju-88s there, just try and shoot them down. There we go, we managed to kill it. So making sure that you maintain your shots onto the same target is super important if you ever want to shoot down bombers like that, especially when they're quite fast. So something like an Arado, if you have a bunch of 37s and you see an Arado come in, just right click it in the air and then just make sure your 37s keep firing at it even after it's falling back. And the only thing you've got to be a little bit wary of is if your AA is quite spread out, then the AA might start to move instead of firing at other targets. If you've got something right clicked, so it'll try and like move towards the aircraft if it's not in range. So you do have to sometimes like micro the ones that are a little bit further away. But a good push coming through here from Neon. He's managed to push all the way up this road and put a lot of pressure into the center. Ju-87's coming in to try and pop some of those half tracks, but the great thing about this is it's just a good distraction. But meanwhile on this side, Yagsos is under a bit of pressure, so I'm going to be bringing in some T-34-85s and some Starkey just to help cover him on that side like he's helped us cover on the left hand side throughout the game. But yeah, we've got good old Death Town here now, I guess. And then Death Hill. Rashid Sad does get taken out. I do manage to arty that. Sapade, find the Alcala there, pushing forwards with the support of a couple of T-34-85s. These are out of range really of the AA to help them, so they are likely to get killed at some point. But again, the idea of these pushes is not necessarily to actually make ground, it's just to keep the distraction going so that we don't lose too hard, basically. Ju-87 coming in for the M4A3, does manage to get the penetration in there. I've only got two 37s that are firing here, there is the Bofors as well, but I'm just trying to concentrate on shooting down that Ju-87 right now. IL-2 coming in as well to help try and shoot down some of these IARs. We managed to take out the off-map. Now Starkey died to the Panzergrens, and the Panther Gs take out the T-34s. So that's that push cleaned up. I probably should have left a Starkey squad here at least to hold that, because moving them all forwards at once was a bit silly. Anyway, Starkey coming in here now with the M4s killing off the Panzer here. We managed to bring it back to 12-12, and things aren't quite over yet. B-26 is coming in for more bombing strikes, and I've of course got to bring in I'm going to bring in more AA to make sure that we can really keep shooting down all the planes that keep coming in. But taking back this right hand side is really important, really crucial to making sure that we can hold on to enough flags to find the victory. My bombers are also coming off cooldown soon, so that's something. You know what would be really funny is if these Ju-87s could actually shoot at bombers. Because in War Thunder, you can do that, right? With the 37s, you can just shoot down enemy aircraft, and they're like big old derp guns. It's good fun. Anyway, I probably wouldn't want to see that actually in Steel Division 2, now I say it, because that would be really, really awkward to deal with sometimes. Especially like the head-on capability would be absolutely crazy, especially with 2-star veterancy. Going to take out both of those M4A3s, or those Ju-87s, and M4A1 getting taken out as well. Absolute massacre for those Ju-87s there. Not too much AA left on this side. That one's definitely flown too close to the sun though. That's going to get shot down. This one gets shot down further back as well. So we do manage to take out a couple. But here comes a new bombing strike. It's the Years flying in formation. The 500 kilogram bomb variants are going for the Panther A's, and we've got the 1000 kilogram variants going for the infantry here. So massive bombing wing. I've also got the Su-2s and the IL-2 coming in for the bombing strike onto the Mobilwagen to try and kill that off. So there we go, pin down a lot of those units, actually kill off one of the Panther A's. Second one gets killed off as well, I think by the T-34s over here. And all of them survive. And that's what it's about. You just got to make sure you have enough en masse I wasn't particularly sure of what the AA capability was over here, but thankfully it wasn't enough to start shooting down those years, because you can start losing them very quickly if you don't have a critical mass. I say if I just brought in like 2 or 3 there, pretty much all of them would have got shot down. Whereas when you have 6 or so, it makes it very difficult for your opponents to like micro and killing them individually. But in that case, I specifically made sure to target the AA with my close ground support attack units as well. So the IL-2 and the SU-2, for example, going for the AA specifically so that it could cover the bombers, which is something that happened, honestly, in real life. I'm going to shoot down a couple more off-map vehicles over here. Cherno's coming in to unload with a couple of Sapari, since I was, I think, probably getting low on infantry at this point in the game. 2 minutes left though, we just got to hold on. Chernos, I'm pushing them up really, really far just to make sure we gain as much ground as possible, and also surrender the Panzergrenz here. And Neon's even managed to get all the way up here to capture this flag briefly, which is making the tickets count even faster. So 50 seconds left. IAR will come in and finish those off though. It's only temporary, but getting 15 to 9 is very, very nice on a map like this. It's very, very difficult to get 15 to 9 on a map like this, because you can see even though we control so much ground here, it's not actually, you know, accounting for very much. It's only these 2 flags that we've actually captured. The rest of the flags on this map are quite far back, which makes it a very grindy map, and is why this inevitably gets killed. Well, that's why I call this Death Hill all the time, because there's just so many wrecks. Look at it, it's crazy. And when somebody gets like full control of this hill one way or the other, it's absolutely dire to take back. So as soon as we like held this here and their push failed to take it back, it's really, really difficult for them to come up again. But there's the same deal with them. If they manage to get across this hill and set up a good defense on this side, then driving up from this direction is really tough as well. So yeah, it's a pretty rough map, honestly. But it's good fun. It's good fun. Definitely allows you to show off some of these longer ranged or longer game strategies. B-26 is coming in there for a really, really nice bombing strike onto all that infantry. 10 seconds left on the clock though. IARs, Fokker Wolves, Ju-88s, so much aircraft coming in. And that's going to be it. Saved by the bell there. 50 minutes, 40 seconds. 5,100 kills exactly, and 3,525 losses. It was a pretty damn good KD for the Fedyunkin. I think Fedyunkin's actually probably like one of the better Soviet divisions overall from the Burning Baltics DLC, but kind of falls short from some of the other Allied divisions in general. So compared to, say, like the 3rd Guards and the 3rd Armoured, Fedyunkin is pretty damn bad, like it really is, in comparison. Because, of course, with the 3rd Guards, you get IS-2s, including the IS-2 1944, which is really strong. And the 3rd Guards, of course, is like a really strong, like medium armor pushing division with lots of half-tracks. So, yeah, I was actually quite surprised that I managed to get top kills in this game, but I think a lot of it came down to some really good trades with these M4s, especially early on. Getting the triple M4 moving in through the light cover to take out a lot of this light armor really works out well. We traded quite well into the Panther A's as well. The IL-2 shooting down an ME-109, the 37s as well. We got a lot of kills with AA. That's another thing that contributed a lot to our points. BS-3 popped Panther G there as well. The ZIS-2, I think, got the other one, actually, rather than the BS-3 getting both. And again, more kills from the 37s, especially since the HMS Hood guy basically threw forwards the 203mm off-map vehicles. So those give us a lot of points as well when we shoot them down. So there is that to consider. The ISU, yeah, we popped that with the... we popped the Reshitsa with the ISU, so that was good, and the T-34-85s killing 2 Panther A's there, that was really, really nice. Whenever a T-34-85 trades with a Panther, it's really good value for money. But at the start, of course, we did get 380mm off-maps, which was pretty rough. Like, the beginning of this game was really tough because I think our opponents were, like, coordinating. So at the start, they had, like, a good strategy to try and make quite a lot of ground. And obviously, like, all 3 players were putting in some effort to help out onto the hill. and then obviously my team helped counter, and then we pushed back, which we were able to do because we had the better income earlier on. So we managed to get back into a good enough position to hold out for the rest of the game against the Triple Juggernaut. So there we go. Anyway, a really, really fun game. Thank you to all who played. And yeah, really, really good showcase of Fedyunkin, I think. Managing to get like 2 really solid Year 2 bombing strikes in there. And also, you know, showing off the BS3 and its capability against Panthers. And also, you know, its infantry, which isn't the best. And obviously the Katyusha 82mm as well. The other thing that, again, that's nice about Fedyunkin that I didn't show, well, it's not really nice, is the 160mm mortars. So there's 120mm mortars, which are obviously pretty strong. We saw a lot of them firing against us. But the Fedyunkin actually gets a 160mm mortar, which has radio. And I didn't get to show it off in this game because I don't actually have it in my deck, because it only has 4 health, and it's pretty weak. It just fires really slowly. It's pretty accurate, but it just fires too slowly to really have any sort of serious artillery presence. So yeah, it's a rough unit to use. So that's why you didn't see it today. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.